So I jumped onto WorthPoint where I did see my picture, and I guess it tracks anything that was sold on eBay. So this is some evidence here, if any of you are curious. This won't be that interesting of a video, but as far as I know, this looks about accurate for when I bought it. It's real. So yeah, these were the photos of it. Right there. So that's how he had scanned it. And then you can just sort of see his explanation of everything. And I do have like evidence of the emails and everything when I asked him. I just wanted a high resolution copy, and so I have a lot of evidence of me asking the summer of 2017, the main church that I'm part of, Church of Christ Latter-day Saints, and the formerly our LDS church, but the Community of Christ. And they responded quickly and said that they had heard of eBay Seller G and that there was a huge controversy. So I actually think he was, keep yawning, somewhat connected. Maybe he had an aunt that was high up somewhere in the RLDS church, but he just didn't know. He didn't know that Joseph Smith would wear Urim and Thummim because there's revelation saying he'd be destroyed if you do. So, he had no idea, you guys, so. Just said, blessed be, so I don't know. But he pretty much posted it that day, responding to my email, initially for 100, and then he had someone else in Salt Lake that bought a lot of the stuff that he had, but the family album that this was in, I just still don't agree that the Larson daguerreotype has more historical evidence than my picture. All these pictures, that they can try to tie it, but I don't see enough similarity or detail to show that these Smith women in the 1860s, or Emma in 1840, 7 or 8, when did she, I can't remember when she got married. Pretty soon after Exodus, but anyway, they just talked about her having a watch, but the Community of Christ actually has her verified watch. And the oldest daughter, Joseph III, talked about finding a watch that was Emma's. So they're always talking about a watch. They don't ever say a locket in any of the written or mentioned statements of the woman that witnessed Emma wearing her like purple dress when she got married and wearing this watch, but Joseph famously gave all of his wives, a few of them, watches, but he usually would often signed his name or left a mark on it so that they remembered it was from him and everything. And so that's why the Church of Christ Latter-day Saints officially says about the Larson daguerreotype, there's no provenance past 1992. So before then, it could have been in any state or any country, and someone could have just given it to them. Like, literally, someone in the 80s could have just gone to an antique store, bought it, and put, like, there's no evidence that it went. They tried to tie it, but with my picture, just the back of it ties it to this city that Joseph Smith III was very familiar with and was traveling around as early as the year 1860, mentions Newark, but called it Georgetown. Because now I know anytime they're talking about Georgetown, especially if he's coming from Plano to LaSalle, it's Newark. He's in the right place in the right time. This picture is in the right place, the right time. The Larson daguerreotype, you have no idea where it was. When it was made, don't know when it was made, don't know where. But the paper carte de visites, you do. So like Emma's a daguerreotype. If they didn't have the CDV, unless by word of mouth, maybe they would have remembered, oh, this is Emma. But there were so many. Well, there's so many later photos of her, so that's a different situation because she was older and she looks. You can see. I analyzed her face for a long time to see if her daguerreotype was flipped in the carte de visite or the daguerreotype, and I concluded, like in the daguerreotype, in the CDV of the daguerreotype, they both were in the same perspective. That makes sense. But they both were inverted, like in a mirror image. But anyway, so there's that evidence, but then there's a lot other really interesting things that they found. But yeah, I went on to that because I'm like, okay, I always want to do more research. I just always will. And someone was very condescending and said, I'm really surprised you're still going. I'm like, wow. Okay. Well, you do you, and I'll do me. And I said that I follow the spirit. They're like, yeah, right. I've had spiritual experience. Yeah, right. So that was a really pleasant interaction. But obviously I saw Possible Provenance when I read this before I bought it. And so I was making videos summer of 2017. I bought it in October 2017. And so I made my first longer video, and it had a lot more. I just didn't know the stuff I knew in that later YouTube video after this date. Obviously now I have a high resolution copy, a lot clearer. And this is a very high resolution copy right there, but but it seems quite evident. Of course, this could all be a lie. Everything could be a lie. Everything could be fake. Blah, 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 blah. But Goblin Weaver didn't see any evidence of that at all. And the guy, the first person or only person that publicly was like, I think this is Joseph Smith. Like, he just didn't know. Like, he knew. Obviously, he wrote down Newark, Illinois. But right here, and in the emails to me, he never said, he had no awareness that Newark was significant to Possible Provenance, because that was near where Joseph Smith III. Well, he went through there. The Spirit, I prayed one night. The Spirit told me, Debbie, you need to stop just focusing on the 1860s posts or journal entries. Go later, because he'll talk about, that was the exact thing that I heard in my head. The Lord is always right. Like, if he says someone is really mean, I don't think you want to talk to them. And then I just kept feeling like, oh, but I want to talk to this person. And eventually the Spirit was like, go ahead. And then I'm like, okay. They are mean. But I'm still standing. I'm still alive, thankfully. And researching this just does bring me joy. But I don't appreciate if someone's like, oh, there just is so much evidence it's not. And I'm like, well, you could tell me, but I obviously wasn't inviting it. But people are just weird and cryptic about it. But I don't think they really know, other than, well, it's not a daguerreotype. It's not a daguerreotype. But there's a CDV of Emma Smith. It's copied from it. You can just look at my website. I went through all that. And, if you go through my whole website and know what you're talking about, if I can tell real quick that you don't, I'll just kind of okay, I'll just smile. Believe what you want to believe. I don't. Anyway. But this guy is into, he's just didn't know that Joseph wouldn't wear the Urim and Thummim. Just didn't know that. But it definitely, again, mentions that there was a bidder from California. And so then they were just buying a ton of photos. So by this point, all the photos were gone from the Smith ID'd family album. They had been sold. And so, I mean, no offense, but this guy was smarter than Jared T's, like, calling this a daguerreotype for Joseph Smith. And he's calling Kim Marshall a man, you know, just a lot of things that... But this guy knew. It is a CDV that is copied from a daguerreotype. It's not J.S. Bivens' work, and usually when it is cut in an oval, that's a good indication in and of itself, other than, well, this is not his background. This is bad lighting. By the 1860s, they knew how to have good lighting, unless they're like a really bad photographer, is really what Gowan Weaver said. And it has this uneven, short back, like it's a very unprofessional background that was just thrown together really quick. And that's kind of consistent with the artwork that are the two paintings that are allegedly both by David Rogers, with this oddly placed background there. Like, what is going on there? But you know, Joseph was still, I guess he had some money. He actually he'd gone bankrupt, I think, right before he died. But anyway, they're still kind of out in the West, so they just didn't, photography's new. They didn't have like a real professional. It's very clear that J.S. Bivens has a super pressed, flat, very tall background, and he, with this one, you know, just really good lighting. And these pictures came out better than that. But when you copy it from a daguerreotype, it comes out less clear and higher contrast. But somebody looked at the family album that this was in, that had Smith ID'd in it. But if the guy knew anything I knew, he would have included that in here. He just didn't know. That is supportive evidence. It actually is. I don't remember if I screenshot that or not, because I had to actually do some things in order to see this. But and then even just from here, I can tell this is George Albert Smith. So I've just been searching through all this. So he went to Newark. He was there for the political meeting. Wow, ironic. He has curly hair. I don't think he took a curling iron to this. He's not Joseph Smith, though. It's his cousin. He does have curly hair. But Joseph Smith III said, my dad does not have curly hair. But I've seen enough pictures of George Albert Smith. I'm like, that is him. So this would have been, excuse me, done by Savage. Or if they say what year that is. Read more. But yeah, as I was looking through here, a lot of Smith family pictures were being sold in 2016, 2017. I mean, obviously, initially this was for sale in 2009. My firm belief is all these people were praying for a photo of Joseph Smith, and especially in 2017 with, you know, this artist and they were about to put a painting of the Scannell daguerreotype in 2017 in Deseret book. I believe that's why the Lord was just sort of like, okay, but I bet those people, maybe even that artist, were praying, okay, if there's a real photo, or please help the real one to come out, or da-da-da. And I think that's why I just suddenly had such strong impressions well, I'd found this. I was just like, oh, someone else will figure it out in 2016 in the fall. But it was around May that I was just like, work on your drawing of the spiritist picture. Obviously, the Lord knew that I thought that was him over this one. It wasn't until I talked to a roommate and I was really like, I'll sit down and look at these. I didn't own it. Because I had videos that came out before this point. You can just look at my videos to see and go to my channel. Go to playlist. I don't think those are all my playlists. Oh, you get to see all of my non-public playlists. That's funny. That's fun. And this is not in chronological order, though. That's the thing that's a little bit annoying, but... just want to pull up one of my older videos. I don't know if it's even in this playlist. If it would count. I guess it would count as a facial analysis. There's only 87 in here, you guys. But yeah, don't be mean to me. Because you're really just being mean to yourself. Yep. Okay, there we go. So those of you that are like new, here's like, not gonna play them. But this is July 2018, and if you look at any of these summer videos, anytime I pull up this picture, it's always gonna be cropped. And be the quality. It's the quality of this. That's the biggest thing. And that is quite a bit better quality. So there's that video. Busted my own eardrums there. Again, July 2017. So let me see. We're almost at exactly 7 years. July. So these two videos came first. 18, 2022, 28. Wow, so it was 10 days later that I was messing around with my iPad and it just came to my mind. Because I'd already traced it. You can see my... See, I've done tracing, and I'm just showing you, I did like copies of these pictures, and I just did some tracings. And then I was just able just to kind of show you. Then here's another, I was just showing tracings. But I wasn't using it in a layer. Like I permanently traced, does that make sense? A copy of the picture. And then it just came to me to... And this came later. I did not know how someone had done the thing of the scandal daguerreotype where they did this. I just was messing around and eventually figured it out, but I didn't know. And that's more legitimate still in the world of forensic anthropology than me doing this or dots. I don't know. And it's a terrible thing, but you can see what terrible quality. You can see these are both highly pixelated. So I didn't own it. I did not own it. Still didn't own it here. And YouTube automatically cropped this, so the shorts are always cropped weird like that. It initially was a full screen, but it decided it was short enough to be a short? I don't know. But you can see that death mask fits the face better than my own photography of the death mask. And I might even accidentally cropped off some of the death mask, but but I will say, yeah, the hairline all along there kind of was my only concern, and along on that face, but you can see how it's really following along on that side. This side, the face is blown out. There is light distortion, but he also had part of his hair ripped out. And he died on his left side. This is his left side. And there's a lot of damage to his skull that 8 doctors believe is his, so that tells me a lot. But here you go. Here is October 17th. So that's 10 days. So you can see the dates here, October 17th. Like, this is my story. Go back to my picture. I guess hitting back is not taking me there. Was it on page 3 or something? I don't even remember where I saw it. It took me a minute or two scrolling these pages to find my actual picture. Because, yeah, it wasn't on the first page. How many pages did I have to go through to find? Like, I was trying to put as much identifying information to find my own picture in Worth Point. So I'm sorry, you guys. And I have brain fog and I've been sick, but there's Carthage Jail. Where's my picture? This isn't right. There it is. 5 pages in. Anyway, so again, you can see my bank account could tell you the history that I did spend that much, and it came in the mail. So that was October 7th, so it's not until the 17th I suddenly have this copy. And so I knew about the vest. And you can see I didn't know any more than what I found on the Joseph Smith papers at this point. Just that there was a political meeting in 1844. And I don't know, I haven't listened to all my old videos from back then in a long time, but a 7-year anniversary coming up here. But anyway, I did not know that the sons of Joseph Smith lived in Plano or where they lived at all. I didn't know anything about them at all at this point. Still, I didn't know about the letter talking about the daguerreotype. I knew nothing really. Just like this, there's a presidential campaign. I was excited about that. I thought that was amazing evidence. I still definitely see receded hairline, so did Truman G. Madsen. But obviously there's plaster thrown on there that throws it off a little bit. The outfit's consistent. 1840s attire. So I'd already researched 1840s clothes because it would put him past eating. So if it was a photograph of a man being photographed in a chair in the 1860s, he wouldn't be wearing clothes like this. Because here's Abraham Lincoln, who was younger than Joseph Smith in the 1840s, mid-1840s. It might have already been starched, I don't know. But it, I went to reputable websites, there's 1850s, 1860s. And my guy in my picture was matching more. And here's that commonly oval shape anytime they copied or rephotographed a daguerreotype, because the matting in the 1840s was always like in that shape. So and that's just a painting done from imagination, I guess, but I didn't know that then. But you can see how much I've scanned it. I have a high DPI copy now. I didn't have it in the summer. And so this is me using my tracing, but it's en masse. But using this version of the death mask, it's amazing how well things fell into place. And they still do. And so I think this is what Curtis ended up doing, like any little thing, where he's like 30, 50, And I came up with a really high number too, when you're just any little thing you could count, but that's not how forensic anthropologists count stuff. So this is verified to be Catherine. He does look very tall. Yeah, so that was kind of neat to see this. So there's just some more evidence of the fact I didn't own this before I started making this video. And my intent at that point was just to help support. Maybe I was going to try to sell a digitally painted. I didn't pull out my oil paints until last summer. It had been years and years and years. And so every place I lived, I couldn't really. Roommates were always like, no, I don't want you to paint. I don't want you to paint. So I didn't. And since like 2015, never been in a place where someone would let me paint. So I just did digital drawing, and I used both of these pictures. So I think initially, if you'd asked me why did I make this video, well, because of that. And then when I made this video, all of a sudden I got really hyper focused on this picture. I'm like, this really, really matches the death mask. And I believe it was the spirit telling me, okay, someone's gonna throw this away, because somewhere. And yeah, I just became concerned about where it was. And it took me a few months, but I found it, and it was, well, sold to me. But this is when I was really starting to feel like, okay, I'm going to make this video with the intent of whoever owns this doesn't throw it away, sees this video, and we can I'll help them. I just wanted to help whoever owned it be able to prove it, which some people have done with the Larson daguerreotype. So they've wanted to make their own video, and I think that's obviously what Curtis Weber has done, because just a lot of Utahns just really believe that he and DJ Bodden, just trained him, and like DJ knows anthropometry. He is an artist. He's not a bad artist. I would never criticize. I haven't seen anything to criticize, but just logically, the idea of how they've analyzed the skulls and photos in general is basically photoanthropometry, which people used to do, but it's not legitimate to use in this case. And then I learned how to do morphological comparisons, so that was for fun. And I really didn't do anything. I didn't make any videos until I had bought it. So this was last summer. What happened? Oh, did it just start playing? Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I was looking at that. I was just finding quite a few pictures that were of Smiths that I'm just kind of intrigued by and trying to see, like, well, who was selling that, and it was that person. So that's why I had that up. I was just kind of like, oh, interesting that they apparently had a photo of David Hyrum Smith. So a lot of things were being sold in 2017, like legitimate actual pictures of David and Alexander. 2016 George Albert Smith. And then now maybe people just aren't using the internet. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I bought mine on eBay for this much, but one that was definitely Alexander Smith. That was interesting to find. It was like $600, but that's all I have for you today. So yep, just those of you that are nice, good praying people, pray for me. It just makes me sick and sad having talked to someone that totally disrespects prayer. I'll expound on that. I just should have been a red flag. Have a good day.